We've got a small group, so before we start the proper recording, maybe just can I find out who's in the audience, since there's only 7 or 10 of us? Would that be fair? Audience participation? I know who these 3 over here are, because they're, I know Dina too. How about you, ma'am?
Hi, Lisa.
In Delaware, okay, perfect. Bookkeeping where? California, nice. Sir? Excellent, welcome, Matt. Nice, welcome. Acuity, welcome, okay. Portland, Maine, or Portland? Just checking. And then whereabouts in Florida? Stero. Okay, I don't know where that is. I'm moving to Florida this weekend, so I'll... Oh, okay, got it. Okay, well, you'll hear a little bit about Fort Myers. Cool. I'm going to get going. We won't get to meet everybody, but nice to meet you. Thank you all for making the trip, for joining. I want to talk a little bit about partnering. As Brandon mentioned, I have spent 20 plus years partnering. That's what I do. And most of my life was in the mobile industry. I lived in London, I lived in India, I'm back in the States, living in Seattle, moving to Miami this weekend. Been in tech only for about 6-ish years, 7 years, always partnering. And the thesis around partnering for us, and the reason why I wanted to talk to you a little bit about partnering is, partnering can be amazing or it can be really painful. And it's the way you approach it. And so really for me, as you guys think about your businesses between either trying to grow or keep your customers, depending upon where you are in your journey, how can partners help you do either? And that's really what I'm going to talk a little bit about, sharing some best practices that I've seen personally, but also that we've seen as well. So this isn't a 401k pitch. This isn't a 401k thing. It will be a little bit of education along the way. But this is more about thinking about partnering and how it can help you and the examples that we at Human Interest are providing. I'll talk a little bit about Human Interest later, but I think it's more important to just start with talking about you guys. So with that, lots of disclosures. We're SEC regulated, so this is here for anybody that wants to review this. It basically says, don't trust anything I say. You've got a picture of me, just in case you forget what I look like. What I'm going to talk about is how can you leverage benefits or retirement benefits in particular to help grow your business or keep your business. Who should be the right partner, or what should you think about when you think about partnering? And then how, for example, does Human Interest enable you? And if it's not us that you want to partner with, that's totally fine. Make sure you ask the questions and get what you want from whoever you decide to work with. And then of course, take tons of questions. We've had lots of questions at the booth. I'll share some of those as well in case, just to prompt the conversation. So as I think about the accountants and CPAs that I've interacted with, that I've had the pleasure of chatting with, it's tough. Your job is not easy. October 15th, I'm surprised all of you were here because there's a deadline moving. Like, you guys have these massive peaks and valleys, and there are more peaks than there are valleys in your business. And that's just for the work that are deadline oriented. Then there's the whole running your business, invoicing your clients, and so on and so forth. And then trying to keep your clients and keep your staff and all of that. Like, the last thing you want to do is be like, hey, I'm going to go make a bunch of money selling 401k. Like, that's not what you wake up and think about. But instead, what you think about, I believe, is that you want to be that consultant, that advisor, that trusted person that your clients come to so that you are indisposable. That is largely what I've heard from the accountants and CPAs that I've spoken with. It's to make yourselves invaluable so that you're always there and you're trusted. Part of the thing that your clients come at you with is, should I be thinking about retirement? They come at you with tax questions, but then why is retirement relevant to them? And the reason it's relevant to your clients, trying to understand your clients, is actually it's really important to attract and retain talent. It's the second most asked about benefit as employers. So your clients, as they're employing people, they have to think about this, because outside of medical and dental, this is the next thing that employees think about. And right now, unemployment is, at or near an all-time low. It's getting harder and harder to find talent. While there's lots of layoff talk in the tech industry, the reality is it's hard to find people. It's hard to find good people and keep them. And the way you keep them is by offering great benefits. And so when you think about the stats that are out there, and I could have pulled any number of stats, 90% or near 90% of hirees, and that includes hourly workers, people that are going to work in restaurants and similar worlds, they still ask about retirement benefits. Like, what's the package look like? So your customers that are running small shops are also, they're facing these same questions. So not only are they facing it from a talent perspective, there are laws out there. Now, you've got a much longer session that's going to go way deep on this than you probably need to, but there's 47 states that are thinking about or have already enacted legislation around retirement that mandate that any employer that has more than X employees, California is currently 5, they're going to change it to 2 next year, or soon. Illinois is going to be 16. I mean, those states are all unique and different, and that's wonderfully complicated. But Illinois is 16. And that doesn't mean you're headquartered there. It means that you have 2 employees in California, you have to offer retirement benefits, and you have to now offer it to everybody that works for you, right? So even as your firm, if you have 2 employees, you're gonna have to go do that in California. Oregon is 1, right? And I don't have them all memorized, I just know the ones that I know. But the point is, these are real. Like, even Texas is talking about it. No disrespect to my colleagues in Texas, but this is a thing. And I read this, yesterday when I read this slide, it was 46, and now it's 47. And so my first question was, well, which state? Just got added. Delaware. So it's a thing. Which 2 cities? Anybody want to guess? Since it's a small audience, we can do participation. Anybody guess which 2 cities? I was actually surprised at one of them. Okay, New York, I'll give you one of them. DC. Because it's also not a state, right? So I was like, no, that made sense now. So the point is, and the reason the states are mandating this is because Social Security is not going to be around. And the best way to help individuals save for retirement is through company-sponsored plans. Because we know that with IRAs, nobody saves with an IRA. They just don't do it. But if it just comes out of your paycheck, 3, 4, 5, 7%, just happens and gradually your nest egg builds. So your small businesses, they treat their employees like family, most of them. Even though they're frugal, they also do recognize their employees become family. And this is a simple way, tax beneficial way, which means that you guys are very relevant to that conversation as well, to help save for retirement and comply with laws. Now, we have a link at the bottom whenever you get these slides that basically is all the legislation you could want. So I'm not going to bore you with every state and all the requirements and blah, blah, blah. It's there. So if you have a client that's based in Ohio or Idaho or wherever, just click there. We've got every state, the current state of regulation, what's either proposed or has already been approved. Feel free to use it. So when you think about why 401ks are relevant, again, go back to what I said earlier, you guys are the trusted advisor. When you have a customer that says, hey, there's this thing around retirement, should I be offering retirement to my employees? You could just say, I don't know, totally doable. But that doesn't engender that trust and faith. You could say, listen, there's legislation coming up, you're based in XYZ state, let me pull up the legislation and send that to you. You need to attract and retain talent. You can start, this is the language that your customers are going to be using or need to be using. 401ks are highly relevant to every one of your customers, from 1 employee down to, up to 5,000 employees. So who do you work with? If this is important to you, or should be important to you, and I'm arguing that it should be, who should you work with and how should you think about it? And when you think about partnering, and again, I have 20, almost 30 years of partnering experience. That's what I do. I was telling Brandon, like, I've done it and I've seen it, and if I haven't seen it, it probably doesn't exist, and it's not arrogant, it's just I've had the privilege of doing so many different unique things in my life. And what it comes down to from a partnering perspective is that person that you partner with, that you work with, has to be an extension of you. They have to almost feel like they're going to help you grow your business. They have to have the same values as you. They have to be there when you have that call at 5 p.m. on a Friday instead of being at Happy, or they're going to pick up your call and say, okay, I got you. I'll take care of it. That's partnering. So they've got to align on your values. They've got to be a positive reflection of you. And they have to want to work with your current customers and your future customers. Even if there's no immediate money for them, they have to want to work with you and support you. Make sure you ask those questions, because they're trying to build relationships. You have a partner that you need to trust, that you need to build those relationships with, and that comes with expertise. They're not a fly-by-night company. They've been around for a while. They've got lots of customers, and they support you. So here's how we think about it. You need to have somebody in your area, not a 1-800 number, but you need to have somebody who's right there, who you can pick up and text and say, listen, I need help. That's, to me, the most important thing. When I got to this company 3.5 years ago, we didn't have any of those things, and I'll talk about them in a minute. We didn't have any of those people based in Delaware. We didn't have anybody based in Portland. So when they needed help, they called me, which is fine. We were 45 people. It's a little bit bigger now, right? But at some point, I'm not going to scale. So we needed to get more people that could help. We needed to provide support to your clients. So I didn't talk about what I do at the company. I run our partnering team. I run our sales team. I run our onboarding team. I also run our account management team, and I also run customer support. So outside of the techie stuff, which I don't do, I'm not a techie person, if we make a promise to you, or we are making it by extension to your customers, it's me. It's me that's on the hook for this. And I have all the team members and the colleagues to make sure that, hey, you have 6 customers with us. You now have a dedicated person that you contact, one for sales and new stuff, and one for existing stuff. And that person handles all 6 of your accounts. So he or she, our account manager, will work with you to support your existing customers, not just be after new sales activity. Your partners should provide you with education on a recurring basis. They should know what your office looks like. They should know that you eat breakfast at 10:02 a.m. or whatever. That's important because they're part of your team, if you're really partnering in the right way. We have these things called PAMs, Partner Account Managers. We have almost 100 of them. We're blessed and privileged to be able to have 100 partner account managers that are here to support each of you. We just hired somebody, and there's a TB hired right here. I can't remember the gentleman's name. I just spoke to him this morning. He's based in Richmond, Virginia. We have somebody in Portland now. We have somebody that's covering Delaware, not yet based in Delaware. That's probably next year. They're there, they're local, they'll talk to you, they'll come by. We do things, and you'll see some pictures of it. When it's tax season, I was talking to one gentleman, and I'm a storyteller, so I apologize, but I was talking to one gentleman in Orange County, and I was visiting with my local partner account manager, Nikki, and Nikki brought me in to see John, because I wanted to just understand the accounting world, and that's how I learn. I learn by talking and listening. And he said, you know how many times so-and-so partner comes and tries to talk to me, and even Nikki, your person, didn't want to talk to her, told her to come back. She did. Told her that we eat breakfast on Fridays because we get the whole team together on Fridays. She came in, she dropped breakfast off, and he said, we don't have time to talk to you, and she left. She said, no problem, here's your breakfast, enjoy it, I'll come back later. He said, I asked her to come back at a specific time, and she did. She showed up. Because the partner account managers, and the way I teach them and coach them is, what does your partner care about? How can you help them? Focus on them, because if you build trust with them, Nikki's gonna be fine. Nikki's gonna be fine. Because we're not here just for the short term, we're here for the long term. We're here to build relationships. We're here to build relationships in technology. You wanna talk to a benefits broker, we can introduce you to local benefits brokers. You wanna talk to a financial advisor, we can introduce you to local financial advisors. You want to talk to a lawyer that specializes in blah, blah, blah. My team builds that local ecosystem. And that's important because when you maybe don't know, it's like, hey, let me call Nikki and find out. I don't know somebody that handles blah, 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 but Nikki probably does because she's connected. My team are connectors. They build local ecosystems, way better than I can sitting in Seattle or Miami. And in case you ever want to reach out to them, you don't need my introduction, just first name, last name @humaninterest.com. You can just write to them right now. Here's what pleases me, because I just reached out to my PAMs and said, hey, have you been working with any accountants or CPAs that are in the Gusto relationship? Tell me what they said. So unsolicited, these are the messages that we got with permission from, in this case, Mindy, to say, what do you like about working with Human Interest? What can we do better? Always ask what you could do better. We're around. Ryan, right? So you talked about Fort Myers, that's what I was asking, right? Ryan.Slushin, he's awesome, Ryan's awesome. But we're here. So make sure that whoever you're working with, if it's not us, that's fine. Make sure that you get this. You should be able to say this about whoever your partner is, in whatever part of your business. You should be able to say this about Gusto. You should be able to say this about us. And I'm sure you can with Gusto. The support that we provide should be focused on you. I talked about how I run account management as well. We have a dedicated group of individuals, 3, 4, 5, I can't remember the number, that specialize only in customers who use Gusto. So guess what that means? If there's something that's not working with a Gusto integration, if it by chance happens, we immediately reach out to all those people and say, hey, listen, we think there's an issue because it applies to you or because of X or because of Y. Or Gusto just released this thing and we want to tell you about this new thing that we're doing with human interest. So we specialize in you. We specialize in you so that you have a dedicated group that's looked after, a dedicated individual that you call for support issues. Safe harbor season's coming up. I want to make sure blah, blah, blah deadline is handled. No problem. Call up, so-and-so account manager, and they will look after you for your existing clients. Oop, I went too far. Again, similar example. Excellent to work with. He feels that we're the best option. Provo, Utah. These are just, who's putting somebody in Utah? When we said we need somebody in Salt Lake to cover Utah, we have somebody, John is awesome. And the thing that John and that Sam had talked about in an email, which didn't quite make sense to fit, is why do his companies use us? And they use us to attract and retain talent. Same example. Here's some more examples of visuals of the resources that I talked about from the Learning Center that talk about, and these are fit for you to send to your clients. These are not written for us to sell and blah, blah, blah. This is like, hey, this is learning information. So reach out to your PAM and say, I want to send something to my clients about X. Secure Act. What does a Secure Act mean from a tax benefit perspective? It's in our Learning Center. You can send it. We show up. We're present, we're real human beings. We like going to football games, and I love football games. Philadelphia Eagles this year, by the way, just saying. No, but we like introducing and connecting accountants with, you with. That's what we do, we're connectors. We show up, there's breakfast and Dos Equis, it was a Friday happy hour. I promise they were over 21. But the point of it is, we're also really authentic. My team, I interview, the people that join are real. They're not here to just pitch you stuff. They're here to help you grow your business or help retain your customers. We're now starting to do customer events locally. So if you want to take your customers out to do a thing, to thank them for their business, let's have that conversation. Let's go do that together. And we'll pay for it. I thought this was interesting. This came unsolicited from Melissa's partner, from Heather. And she wrote the bullets. Like, I was just like, wow, this is really, amazing. And it's about, we take care of it, we make sure it works. If it doesn't work, we fix it. Everybody's far from perfect. Are they gonna be around to pick up the phone and answer? And Melissa and Heather, they go spend, whatever, they're friends now. They were work friends and they become friends. They talk all the time. That's the kind of partnerships we should have. In terms of specifically, we've got more partners that we work with. I just put a few because we have regular dialogue with them. It's the local support. It's making sure that you guys are there and making sure that it's reliable and that it's working. We've got hundreds of Gusto accountants that we work with already. On average, Aaron, who's in the back, who's a Florida man who's stuck because he can't go back until Friday now, after everything's over, hope everybody's safe. He's signing up at least 50 new partners a month. And he's doing it by being real and by this is what we do, and we just present. We're not to sell it. It's that we just do what we say we're gonna do. We show up and we're real. So how do we specifically help you guys? Talked a lot about what it takes to be a good partner. Let me talk about human interest for just a quick second. We've raised a lot of money. We've been around for 7 years. We have over 700 people that work with us. We will be over 10,000 customers by the end of this year. We're growing at a pace that's unheard of. Last year, we were just over 4,000. So we're more than doubling this year. We'll probably do the same again next year. We're hitting our stride. We've got, like I said, a ton of people, hundreds of thousands of participants that are working with us and for us. We provide a service that works. The reason it works and the reason that customers choose us is 4 things. We enable your customers, your employers, your admins, if you will, to have an amazing experience. Not just because we're integrated, but because we provide reporting, we provide dashboarding, we make it easy for them, we give them dedicated account management. 97% of our customers have dedicated account managers. From a cost and value perspective, we're transparent. Our pricing is on the website. We are the first 401k in the country to introduce no transaction fees. We don't want to make our money nickel and diming your customers. That's not how we want to make money. We don't want to be the big bad Paychex and ADPs that charge $1,500 or $1,750 to leave. It's free. If you want to go, please go. We don't think you will, but if you do, I'm not going to make you stay. We got rid of those fees. We innovated. We're pioneering. There's more things that I can't talk about that we're releasing in Q1 that has never been done before as far as we know in the industry. We're making this industry better and making it work. We're tech forward for sure. We integrate with partners or with payroll companies. We innovate in an experience. What we provide to employees is a very simple sign-up process, which is why we have such high participation rates. We have a complete solution, and what makes us unique, I suppose, is that we don't force you to have only one of these 2 or 3 plan design types. We don't force you to have only 30 different funds in your lineup. If it's available to be invested in, you can use human interest. Other 401k companies can't do that. Can't make those commitments, can't make those promises. I think the other thing that we do is we invest. We put our money where our mouth is. For your customers that are customers of Gusto, we will write your customers a check when they are customers of human interest. Not free dollars off on software stuff, like that's not what we do. We literally say, here's a check. Because we want to motivate customers to make the wrong choice. Our retention rate is through the roof. The only people that leave go out of business. I say only, almost only. We coach in our sales process to leverage tax credits. Between the tech credits and the tax credits, your customers are paying almost nothing, if nothing, for the first year or 2. Now, we're not tax experts, that's your role. There's laws that require them to get a 401k. We talked about that. There's all these tax incentives that you guys are experts on. And then there's credits from us because they're Gusto customers. We're investing to make it better for your employees and your customers' employees. Come by the booth. If you haven't already, we have tax credits or tech credits for you guys as well, for your own business. Happy to provide that. More details, Aaron and Nusha can talk about that. I think the thing I'd probably close with is this. We are the highest rated 401k in the country, the highest rated. That's just a fact. It's there, it's public, I didn't write it. So when you think about partnering, make sure that you're partnering with people for the right reason. They're investing in your business, they're helping you win or retain your customers. We think we're the right partner for you, but again, that's your decision. And with that, that's all I got. Questions, comments, jokes? Questions? Quiet group? Maybe I'll throw out a couple. Anusha, you guys have been at the booth for a day now, day plus. What kind of questions are we hearing? So the question was, talk about the fund lineup. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, we take the liability. We're 338, which from a tax code perspective means that we will choose the lineup and recommend a lineup. But at the same time, as I mentioned earlier, we are open architecture. All that means is that if it's available to be invested in, your customers can add those funds into the lineup as well. So if they want to add this unique fund that they think is really cool, great. If it's available, add it in. We work with financial advisors. We don't require a financial advisor. We're also the 316 for 97% of our customers. What that means in basic English is we will sign the Form 5500 on behalf of your customers. we will take the liability, almost all the liability, as my compliance colleagues will tell me, we will take almost all the liability for running their 401k. We will also procure their fidelity bond, so they're never out of compliance with that. We will make sure that the fidelity bond grows depending on the assets, et cetera. Yes, ma'am. The question was, most of my clients are with Guideline. How easy is it to switch? The answer is very easy. Of course, I'd say that, right? The way I would say is we have a dedicated team that brings customers over from any other partner, or I say partner, any other competitor, right? We take care of, if there's any fees that they charge, we take care of that. Don't worry about that. We got that too. So if there's termination fees from leaving anywhere, we'll take care of that. We have dedicated people. You will have a specific person, and your customer will have a specific person that can help them with that. And we're happy to talk to you about that offline as well. About, just to have more color on that, about a third of our business are companies that are leaving from one place to another, coming to us, which means 2/3 are brand new to the category. But, and I think maybe I should talk about our average customer. So our size of customer, our sweet spot, if you will, is 1 to 500 employees. So we definitely scale larger. So if your customer is somebody who's going to grow and outgrow perhaps somebody else, we're the place that they don't have to leave and go somewhere else. We have a lot more configurability. So my predecessors, the founders, if you will, I don't know that they necessarily intended for it to be as flexible as it is, but it is, the way they've built it and architected the product. Our largest customer is over 5,000 employees. We're signing up customers that are much larger, much larger than our sweet spot because our product scales quite nicely. But equally, a good chunk of our business comes to us from less than 10 employees. And by good chunk, I mean, a third or so. What else? What else do we get? What else do we get, Nisha? Oh yeah, thank you. We are a 401k company. For those of you that don't know, that nonprofits use something called a 403b. Many 401k companies don't do 403bs because there's difference in testing and difference in the way it's treated. We do 403bs as well. So it's simplistically, it's a 401k for nonprofits, which means there's less testing involved from the government, which means it's just easier for your customers that are nonprofits. What else? Okay. Aaron, anything that you wanted to add? Yeah, I think just to explain, kind of in the olden days when the industry was founded 40 years ago, no fault of theirs, the pioneers of the 401k industry built their products on the best technology that was available, which at the time were mainframe and computers, fax machines. That was like the newest thing ever. And so therefore, to simplify their lives, they outsourced big chunks of their product. So there's a database, which is called a record keeper. There's a TPA, which I think about as like the user interface. It's more than that, and then there's the financial advisor, and then there's these other people that do other roles. And so to make a 401k work in the olden days, your customer would have to coordinate across all those things. So when there was a question, well, talk to him or talk to her, they didn't know who to call. At Human Interest, we built it from the ground up, and we control the entire experience end to end. So when there's a question, you just call your dedicated account manager, and he or she will solve it for you. They will look within our own organization and be able to solve it, and that's because we're bundled. So that's what that means in English. It's just simplification of your life and your customer's life. Yes, ma'am. So our systems are connected through an API. So the same API that other 401k providers use. So the systems talk to one another. Every time a payroll run is run, the information flows into human interest, how much money was deducted from the account, what was it specifically, for each person, et cetera, flows in. And then we confirm this is the amount that needs to be deducted next pay period because Nusha changed his contribution from 4% to 5%, and then that information flows in so that Gusto has the right deduction amount then. So all that information flows, we track hours, so we know eligibility from an hours perspective. There's things like that that we capture from an information perspective. We have the ability for single sign-on, et cetera. So all of that flows, again, back to we just set it up, and then it's done. And by setup, it's now just it's not quite a one-click connect, but basically your customer and us connect everything, and then the information flows magically. So that's kind of how it works. What you'll see on our website is we integrate with 300 plus payroll companies. So if it exists, we probably integrate with it.
The payment comes straight from Gusto as well, or is it?
So we deduct what we connect our bank accounts with your customer's bank account. And then the bank accounts, we deduct directly from the bank account of the customer. And the fees are separate as well, correct. We have a monthly fee. Pricing's on the website, but basically there's a monthly fee that we charge the company. And then for the assets under management, we charge a very small fee of that. And what we're building is even more reporting. We're trying to build, in the coming year, you'll have reporting that's individualized for each partner. So you're gonna see that coming. It's not there yet, I promise, but if you ask for it, we can generate it for you, but we know that you guys like billing and statements and things like that, so we're working on that. But you'll be able to see by the end of next year, statements of you have 6 customers with us, here's the status of each of them. We'll obviously need a release from your customers to allow us to share the information, but we'll get that pulled together. So that's, again, back to being partner friendly. I think the biggest thing that I've heard from partners and is right now it's working with whoever you're with or whoever you're partnering with. And it could be, and I'm not talking just 401k, I'm talking generally. And that's awesome. What happens when it doesn't? When it doesn't, A, it makes you look bad. B, your customers like, you told me to talk to so-and-so and now I'm done and I can't get a hold of anybody. And that's bad. So my counsel is if you're not there right now, make sure that you can. Get in front of it. Ask the questions of your peers that are here. What's it like to work with XYZ legal company? I don't want to talk about 401k. Are they good? Are they bad? And the answer that you'll find is, well, it seems to be working so far. Get in front of it. That's just my personal advice. Get in front of it because when it's bad, it's too late. Go ahead. Yep. That is it. So we have, perfect. No, so we have 2 separate, we have 2 call centers. Well, we have 1 call center, but partitioned. A participant support, and then the administrators. Spanish, English, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time, so therefore we cover all time zones as well. So that was a new thing that we did about 18 months ago, which was, because we were growing, and we just suddenly realized we have to be a national company, not, so we still can't quite support Alaska hours, but we'll maybe get there. I don't know, we haven't decided that. I'm joking about that, but we do have customers in all 50 states. That was fun when we got our last South Dakota customer. That was awesome. That was a while ago though, so I digress. Now we're just a real company. We're growing at a pace now where I think 3.5 years ago when I joined, we were 40, this company, our company was about this room, 45 people. And we've scaled and we've grown and we've invested in the growth. And the point I'm making is go on LinkedIn and check out who you're partnering with. How many people, and again, I'm not just talking about 401k, I'm talking generally. There's a lot of startups that do stuff. We're no longer, in my mind, a startup. We're almost 1,000 employees. We've got people everywhere, and we can help. And we're continuing to hire. So we just had 16 people join today, or this week, for the company. We're still growing and scaling, and that's important as you continue to want to grow and make sure you get the best provider and best advice and best partner. Make sure that whoever you're partnering with is doing that. What else? Anything else? Anything I missed? Anybody got good jokes? No, okay, that's fine. Listen, thank you guys very much. Enjoy your time here. Appreciate it. Thanks again, Brandon, for having us.